Hello Pokemon trainers, this is GatorEX, and in case you couldn't tell, I'm in a phase of creating hypothetical Pokemon game scenarios. I hope you're enjoying them because I've got one more. This one will be a little different in format though. Before I begin, I just want to remind you to follow me on Twitter and to check out my last video for me rambling on about my fanfiction. With that out of the way, let's get started. A while ago, I had the thought, what if there were Pokemon games that took place thousands of years in the past? I figured playing a main series Pokemon game in this setting would allow for some interesting plot and gameplay developments. In X and Y, when we were given a small glimpse into AZ's past, I desperately wanted to see more and thought that it would be cool to actually experience, without the war and stuff. It got me thinking, and I realized that this would be a Pokemon world without much technology. Pokeballs were only invented a few years ago, as stated by Drayden, and other items like medicines and TMs just wouldn't exist. Obviously, a world like this would work much better in a spin-off game like Pokemon Conquest, but the thought of having a format like this in a main series game intrigues me. After I got this idea, I decided to try it myself. I found my Heart Gold cartridge and embarked on a new journey, the AncientLocke. The basic idea is that it's a Nuzlocke journey where the player isn't allowed to use any technology, except for HMs when necessary and Pokemon Centers since they would just be replaced by inns. This meant that I couldn't catch any Pokemon, so I could only use Pokemon that were given to me. This was pretty interesting and I feel like it made the bonds even stronger. For a while it was basically a solo run, which made some sense. In an older Pokemon world, I'd assume most trainers might only have one or maybe even two Pokemon, since there was no effective way of catching or storing them. We can see this as AZ only had Floette, and Sir Aaron only had Lucario and Pidgeot for travel. This playthrough was hard! I'll leave a full list of rules that I came up with in the description if for some reason you'd like to attempt it. I was able to get through it, but it did take a lot of grinding and caution. Overall, I had fun with it. I do think a lock challenge like this would work best in a randomized ROM or a custom ROM hack. I think a concept like this could work in a main series game. There are just a few things that would need some tweaking. First of all, there need to be more people who will give you Pokemon. I could definitely see there being side quests where an NPC would give you a Pokemon after you help them out. Maybe there could even be some other ways of catching Pokemon. An idea that I had was to have a few special Pokemon appear in the overworld. Make them somewhat randomly generated based on the location, like the hidden grottos in Black 2 and White 2. They'll be a little stronger than regular, but if you can beat them, they'll want to join you on your journey. The next thing would be to have appropriate shops. In my playthrough, it was difficult because the only healing items I allowed myself to use were berries, herbs, and food items. If this were a game actually set in that time period, I'm sure they'd be selling these items at every shop. Really, this would just go along with every other aspect that would be updated in order to fit the time period. The one big thing would be to have something like PokeRide implemented, since TMs and HMs technically wouldn't exist. Overall, I think this would be great for a playthrough experience, but not for a post-game. In a Pokemon game, the main journey isn't the only part of the adventure. After finishing it, or even during, there are things like Battle Spot, Wonder Trade, Wi-Fi battles, and breeding that contributed to the long-lasting playability. In our hypothetical ancient Pokemon world, these things just wouldn't exist. Now, I'm sure that you could try really hard to adapt it and explain these away with magic, but I think it'd be stretching a little too far to make it fit in with the usual games. This is obviously the biggest factor holding back Game Freak from making a Pokemon game like this. Like I said earlier, this idea would probably work best in a custom ROM hack. It's a cool idea and it's just that. I'm still holding out for an experience like this though. There are definitely ways, even if we just experience it for a little bit as some kind of special event using Celebi or Dialga to time travel. I just really want to see what the Pokemon world used to be like. Anyway, that's all I've got for this discussion. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see an ancient Pokemon world? Do you have any ideas for what it could be like? Leave a comment down below and we can continue the discussion. Also, let me know if you'll be embarking on an AncientLocke like I did. The rules are in the description down below if you feel brave enough. If you enjoyed the content, remember to subscribe and enable notifications. This will update you whenever a new video is posted and will make you a member of the Chingling squad. Anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.